There is a name that has been whispered in fear for over 1,000 years. A name found in ancient scriptures, carved into forgotten manuscripts, and spoken in the final moments of countless human lives. Asriel, not a demon, not a myth. According to billions of believers across history, he is real, and his only task is to take your soul the moment your time on earth ends. But here is what almost nobody knows. The being called the Angel of Death may not even be named Asriel at all, and the truth behind him is stranger, older, and far more human than you could imagine. For centuries, people have pictured him as a terrifying figure cloaked in black, carrying a scythe, appearing only at the edge of death. But that image barely scratches the surface, because behind the myth lies a story that stretches across religions, empires, and civilizations, a story of an angel so powerful that even heaven itself is said to fear his presence. Today, we're going to uncover who Asriel really is, where this belief began, why cultures separated by oceans and centuries all describe the same terrifying figure, and the one mystery about him that scholars still cannot agree on. To understand Asriel, we have to travel back to the deserts of the ancient Middle East, long before the rise of the religions we know today, long before Islam, before Christianity, before even Judaism as we understand it. Ancient civilizations already feared a force that separated the living from the dead. The Mesopotamians spoke of death as a shadow that walked among men. The Egyptians believed a divine figure judged and guided the soul into the afterlife. These early beliefs would later shape one of the most feared angelic figures in human history. In Islamic tradition, he's called Malak or Mort, the Angel of Death. The name Asriel itself does not appear in the Quran. It comes from later Islamic literature, folklore, and interpretation. And this is where the mystery begins, because if his most famous name isn't even in the holy text most associated with him, then where did it truly come from? According to Islamic belief, Asriel was created by God as one of the 4 archangels, alongside Gabriel, Michael, and Israfil. His duty is described as absolute and unavoidable. When a soul's appointed time arrives, Asriel appears, sometimes gently, sometimes terrifyingly, depending on the life the person lived. Some texts describe him as a being so vast that his feet rest beneath the earth, while his head touches the heavens. Other descriptions say he has thousands of eyes and thousands of wings, each one representing a life yet to be taken. Now imagine that image for a moment. A being so massive, so ancient, so overwhelming, that simply standing before him would shatter the human mind. This is not a small, quiet figure waiting silently in shadows. This is described as one of the most powerful entities in existence, second only to God himself. But Islamic tradition is not the only place this figure appears. In Judaism, a similar being exists, known as the Malak Hamavet, the Angel of Death. Ancient rabbinic texts describe him carrying a sword dripping with venom, standing at the head of the dying, waiting for the exact final breath. Some legends even claim this angel once tried to take the soul of Moses himself, and was refused again and again, because Moses' connection to God was too powerful for death to easily claim. In Christianity, the imagery shifts once more. Death becomes one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, riding a pale horse, a symbol of the end of all things. Different religion, different name, same haunting purpose. So here is the real question. Why did civilizations with no contact, no shared language, and no shared history all imagine death in almost identical ways? A powerful, otherworldly being, a moment no soul can escape, a presence so overwhelming that only the holiest or most spiritually prepared could face it without fear. Some historians believe this is simply human psychology. Every culture fears the unknown, and every culture needed to give death a face, a shape, something the human mind could comprehend rather than the terrifying void of nothingness. Others believe something deeper connects these traditions, ancient knowledge passed down through trade routes, migrations, and shared human experience stretching back thousands of years. And then there is the theory that unsettles even scholars. What if these descriptions across completely separate civilizations are not coincidence, but memory. A memory of something real, something ancient humanity actually witnessed, reshaped over generations into religious belief. Now we arrive at the biggest mystery surrounding Asriel, the one debate that has never been resolved. Is Asriel truly a single being? One angel assigned to every death across the entire history of humanity? Or is Asriel a title, a role passed between different divine beings depending on the era, the region, or even the individual soul being taken? Islamic scholars themselves are divided. Some insist Asriel is one eternal entity, existing since the beginning of creation, tasked with witnessing every death that has ever occurred and ever will occur. Others argue this is simply too much for a single being to bear, and instead believe legions of angels operate under his command, making Asriel more of a supreme overseer than a solitary figure. This single question changes everything, because if Asriel is one being, then somewhere, right now, an entity has watched every death since the dawn of humanity, every war, every tragedy, every quiet passing in the night, a witness to all of human suffering and all of human peace, standing silently beside billions of final breaths throughout history. But if Asriel is instead a role, a duty divided among countless beings, then the terrifying singular figure we imagine may exist at all. Instead, death itself becomes something distributed, something vast beyond comprehension, impossible to trace to just one presence. Either way, one truth remains unchanged across every religion, every legend, every ancient text. Death does not choose to arrive, it is sent. And whether Asriel is one being or many, the belief remains the same. When your final moment comes, something greater than fear itself will be waiting. Perhaps that is exactly why this figure has survived thousands of years, passed from empire to empire, from prophet to prophet, from parent to child. Not because people wanted to fear death, but because they needed a way to understand it, to give shape to the unknown, to believe that even in our final breath, we are not simply erased, but received. So the next time you hear the name Asriel, remember this: he is not just a myth from ancient scripture. He is humanity's oldest attempt to answer the one question none of us can escape. What happens in the final second of life? And maybe, just maybe, somewhere between belief and mystery, the answer is still waiting for us all.